What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Welcome back to the Respawn, where I answer your questions. Today we're going to be talking about the possibility of a Sombra buff, how Blizzard handles reworks, and is a builder ever going to be viable in Overwatch? Thanks for today's sponsor, GameLeap, where you can get tips and guides straight from the pros. Sign up using the link below and get 25% off. First question of the day, do you think Sombra needs a little buff? So quick recap, they changed the character a little while ago, they took away some of the utility, and they gave her more damage potential. And the character, even in that state, was not going to be this overwhelmingly strong character pick. It still had some niche uses, and it was still a little bit, kind of on the iffy side in a lot of cases. But people had this massive overreaction, like, oh my god, Chicken Little, the sky is gonna fall kind of situation, and Blizzard ended up putting another nerf on the character and made it so that anytime your hack is disrupted, then you end up getting a 2-second cooldown. And this has caused a pretty big problem for the character where it could have actually been useful, particularly in the current meta that we have. You have a lot of Reinhardt, you have a lot of Brigitte, you have a lot of Hanzo and Zarya and stuff like that. Really good hack targets, but Sombra isn't being used because they nerfed her and she's just kind of like, eh. So I think the best thing that Blizzard could do would first just revert the nerf that they gave. Get rid of that little cooldown thing that she has with the hack. Maybe what's going to end up needing to be done is the hack has a slightly longer cooldown overall, and maybe the duration is slightly shorter, but I think the current version just isn't really good enough, and obviously her pick rate represents that, because she's just not being used. Next up, what is your favorite hero on each role? If we're talking about playing the characters, then I would say Reaper, Roadhog, although he's not really a tank, he's a bruiser. I'm not going to get into that discussion right now, though. We'll just pretend he's a tank. And then Moira. But if Moira gets the nerf that she currently has on PTR, she's going to be completely garbage, and no one should ever play the character ever. In which case, I'd probably just end up playing a lot of Brigitte. Next one's really easy. Can you do a face reveal? It's already been done. I get this question all the time. Guys, I have an Instagram. I have 2 Snapchats. I have a public one, and then I have a private one for Patreon supporters. They also get a bunch of other stuff like VIP access in my Discord. They also can help out and make guest appearances in my testing videos and stuff like that. But all that stuff, like my Twitter, my Twitch, some people don't even know that I live stream on Twitch. Guys, the links are down below. Open the description, check that stuff out. There's also free stuff on my Discord, like audiobooks from Audible and Twitch Prime, all that sort of stuff. So go and check out the description. Go and check out the Discord. All that stuff is there, guys. Instagram, the Snapchats, it's all there. How do you feel about how Blizzard is handling these reworks? Do you think it's a good idea for them to keep taking a character's ultimate and make it a regular ability? Example is Mercy's Raz and Symmetra's Teleporter, and giving them a new ult. I really don't care what the ultimate is as long as it's useful. And it doesn't matter if they switch stuff from an ult to a normal ability or back and forth or whatever. The idea and the main goal should every character needs to be viable in most situations. It's never going to be all situations, but at least most situations. Having characters like Torbjorn and Bastion and Symmetra, the old version, they were incredibly niche picks, and they were only usable in very, very select situations, and that's just not good. My policy has always been, if a character is in the game, then it should be able to be used in most situations. So as far as I'm concerned, as long as the character works, I don't really care what they move around for the abilities and the ultimate. Next up, do you think an out-of-combat builder utility hero will ever be viable? Short answer is no. Longer answer, there's a bunch of different reasons. So the first thing is that Overwatch is a fast-paced, action-oriented game. And if you have a character that has to spend a good amount of time doing things that aren't in the fight, i.e. you have to build things, you have to collect things, whether it's scrap or whatever it happens to be, and then you have to take time away from participating directly in the fight, that is going to be a detriment, and you're not really going to want that, so the character is going to get less use. The other thing is balancing a builder character is incredibly difficult. So right now, we have Torbjorn's turret, which for the lower brackets, we're talking bronze, silver, gold, the turret can be strong, sometimes it can be really strong, but for the upper bracket players, the turret is barely anything more than a nuisance. So, if Blizzard was to nerf the turret to make it easier for the lower brackets, then it would be completely useless for the uppers. And if they were to buff it so that a GM player could actually get a lot of use out of a Torbjorn turret, then it would become unbelievably overpowered, and it would completely dominate all of the bronze, silver, and gold games on the entire ladder. And the last thing, going more specifically to the utility thing, is it doesn't work in Overwatch. Just again, because the way the game is played, you have to be good at one of three things for a character to be viable. You either have to provide damage, you have to provide tanking, or you have to provide healing. That needs to be your primary function. And if one of those things is not your primary function, then you're just not going to be a viable character. So we had Symmetra for a very long time, which was primarily a utility character, secondary as damage, and we saw how well that worked out. She had a 0% pick rate in the Overwatch League, and now is getting a complete overhaul. We've also seen other characters in similar situations where, for example, Sombra, I talked about her earlier in the episode here, they had her more towards the utility side, and they had to pull some of that back and increase some of the damage side so that the character would be better and more viable. She's still not in a great place, but it's at least better than it was before. So again, damage, tanking, healing needs to be your primary function. You can still have utility, there's no problem with utility, but the way that the game works, utility cannot be your primary function because it's just not going to be good enough to make a character viable. That's going to be all for today. If you have a question, comment, or idea, make sure you leave it down below and maybe you'll get picked for the next video. Also, check out the description because it has all the links that I mentioned earlier, including today's sponsor link, so go and check that out. It really helps. Thanks again for today's sponsor, GameLeap. Now, there's nothing you can do about bad teammates, so instead, focus on improving your own gameplay to its max, and then just carry your team to that win. With this, GameLeap can help. It's got tons of carefully crafted guides, top 500 replay analysis, and tips and tricks straight from the pros. You get the training you need to win more. Right now, you can get 25% off with my link down below, and the best part is, if you don't like it, you can get a full refund. You have nothing to lose and only more games to win. Get a premium membership on GameLeap and start winning today.